Hey gang, so I was just gonna let this one sit out there. I wasn't gonna respond to it. Basically what happened was Pipeline let a leak go, and kind of huge news in it, but usually with Pipeline, I just kind of let them do their thing, and then I kind of do my thing. Usually what I'm talking about is more on kind of the big picture of the project as a whole, and not on the little leaks that can happen along the way. But in this case, LevelCap, who has nearly 2 million subs, kind of brought it out into the open. And I kind of wanted to give my 2 cents on what I think is going on here and what I think this thing actually is. So this time I'm just going to do this as a quick hit, so no dinosaur roaring at you or anything. Of course, I'm going to do the dinosaur roaring at you. Anyway, if you've never heard about Pipeline before, they're a group of people with Hater, and I think Arya is the other mod on their Discord. And I'll put a link to LevelCap's video, the Discord, and the document that I'm going to talk about all in the down below parts so that you can see them. Here is sort of my quick take on Pipeline. Why I don't cover them is sometimes... Well, one, there's a bunch of content creators out there that do nothing but cover Pipeline. I think Pipeline can sometimes get out ahead of their skis and release information that isn't necessarily as carefully vetted as it should be. And the community gets pissed off because they get this information that X is coming or Y will do this special sort of thing from these leaks. And when it doesn't happen, they get upset at CIG when they should be getting upset at leaks. Everybody gets upset at leaks, and so on and so on. So you kind of get the idea. That's not the kind of revolving door that I want to get in. I'm not really a big fan of the drama spin. But anyway, Pipeline does occasionally vet their things. They do try to be careful, but some people do occasionally troll them and give them great information from inside sources, and they release it, and it turns out that it was just a joke or a troll the entire time. But anyway, on this one strikes me as something that is probably legit, but I think that it should be read in a much different way than it's being read, and I kind of want to get into why. So come down here. Basically what happened was they said Star Citizen is 2 years out. So not Squadron 42, Star Citizen. So the PU is going to reach 1.0 in 2 years, in 2025. So let's get into the document that was leaked. So here's the document that was leaked, and this is basically an article writing about them talking to CIG devs. Apparently they've corroborated this with several CIG devs, which, reading through this thing, you can kind of, nothing in here is anything that I haven't said on this own channel. So just kind of going through this calendar here is kind of the big part of it, and they go into a lot more detail, and again, links in the down below parts. But Q4 2023, so last year, it was quality of life improvements, tech improvements, all of that. They did the pyro bit in the PTU for a while, so nothing too surprising there. 323, which I'd expect, they're saying Q1, so around March is what I was thinking would be the first patch. Is Q1 patch goal is to contain as many Squadron 42 features as possible. Meshing tech preview, I would expect both of those things. I've been saying the same thing for weeks. Totally reasonable there. For Q2, nothing yet known, likely finalizing what didn't make it into 323. So this would be the June patch. This is when I was thinking Pyro would drop. They're saying Pyro will drop in Q3, which I could see that too. I felt like Pyro and meshing was far enough ahead that we probably get it in June, but the fact that they're thinking September, that doesn't necessarily, that doesn't make this look fake to me. Q4 is Planet Tech V5, and LevelCap in his vid, and me too, I'm kind of like, what's V5 gonna be? I don't know. Maybe weather tech would be my guess. Maybe the planets orbiting, Could be. Who knows? We don't know. We'll know towards the end of next year. They're saying Q1 of 2025 is Squadron 42. I've been saying Q4 of 2024 would be a Squadron 42 launch, just because you get that holiday window, get the Christmas window and the Christmas money coming in. But 2025 Q1 isn't beyond the pale. So this is all pretty reasonable. And then the big one is Q4 of 2025 is Star Citizen 1.0. And that's going to be 5 systems on launch. And so it's going to be Stanton, Pyro, and 3 others, which would be Nyx, and I don't have the map in front of me. And again, this is a quick hit, so I'm just popping this out there. I'll look it up later. Narrative experience on launch, which, yeah, fine. And I'll read this sentence here because it's kind of important. If y'all ain't swimming in grains of salt I recommend you take here, then it's going to be your fault when you get disappointed that a good chunk of this doesn't end up happening. To say that there's a bit of internal pessimism over whether the above can happen or not in the times given is an understatement. If there's a silver lining, it would appear that this is more a learned response than a cloud of doubt. So allow me to kind of throw a wet blanket over this. So another reason that I don't typically cover pipeline and leaks in general is because I'm Evocati and I signed an NDA with Cloud Imperium Games in order to get into that group. Now, the NDA doesn't necessarily cover things like this because for all we know, somebody just wrote this out of their head and said, yeah, CIG said it. So we have no proof one way or the other. CIG didn't release it to me in a patch and say, this is what we're doing, don't tell anyone. So this isn't really covered by the NDA. But the thing is that if this was leaked by devs, and reading through this whole thing, I would not be shocked, and I'll get into why. So the devs that leak this are under NDA. And just from an ethical standpoint, a legally ethical standpoint, since I'm a paralegal, that kind of bothers me a little bit, but I can kind of get why people do it. But I'll bet CR seeing these things hit, especially from a content creator with 2 million subs, which is going to have a long reach, is the community, which I have mentioned several times is insane, is going to read these things and take it as gospel. They're going to take this as CIG is telling the community these dates. That's not what's happening here. What's happening here is this was likely an internal document meant as a motivator and as a, hey, this is what we want to do, people of CIG that work with us, and not this is for public consumption for the entire community, because they've said things like this in the past. I mean, Road to Pyro was 3 years ago, pre-pandemic. So yeah, I would not only take this with a grain of salt, I would take this as an internal document. Don't take any of these dates as gospel until CIG comes out to us and says, we are dropping Squadron 42 in Q1 of 2025. Then it's official. Otherwise, just kind of take this as something that's kind of cool, that's sitting out there, that's a possibility, but more likely it's inspirational and aspirational for the devs of CIG from the upper echelons of that company. And that's how I would take it. And really, gang, that's all I got for this. Love you guys. Catch me next time.